Good evening. Buongiorno. It's, what's it, 8 o'clock? This is, like, super late for me. I'm such a early streamer, usually. Anyway, today I am going to be working on something that is long overdue. I've had a outstanding commission from one the DeeKitty, sitting in my inbox since I want to say late April. And it was the, like, third or fourth thing I had come in sequentially, so I had to triage it last. But it is long overdue. I finally have time to get this underway. I did a bunch of research this week, and I think I can pretty much crunch this out in a single sitting. Do I have my VLC working? Yeah, good. We got background music. Perfect. I hope everyone's doing fine this evening. It's like extremely summer over where I'm at. The swamp is nice and warm. The frogs are frogging it up. We've got a lot of crickets, etc., etc. So as for what the client, the DeeKitty, wants, I believe this is like a Final Fantasy riff. I think this has to do with like raid aggro markers or something, because they're a Final Fantasy streamer. D, if you're in the chat, I don't know if you are, you can feel free to correct me if I'm slandering what this is about. But this seems to be what you wanted.
Arrows, can you fill the screen for me?
This is the clip you
Before
sent
I
me.
start crashing. Huh? I think there's a limit. Oh! Here they come!
So if like a lot of arrows pop up all over the place, which I assume has to do with like safe zones or something in Final Fantasy raids.
Dang, look at all the tings. You censored my eyes with the ting. Oh my goodness, good job everyone. How many tings is this? I'm gonna have to like pause the frame and see how many tings are on the screen. Ah. Good job, guys. Oh, you guys are great.
So on its head, that's a pretty straightforward redeem. The idea is that you will have a chat redeem. You click it, it will make an arrow fade in and fade out somewhere on screen, playing a noise, which is all fine and good. And clearly they have that working already. But the punch up that they wanted me to try and introduce to this was being able to display the name of the redeemer on each arrow, which the system that they're currently using doesn't seem to be able to do. But I think that's very feasible and straightforward to do. My plan is to basically give them a HTML browser source that they can add to OBS, totally self-contained. It'll ask for like a authentication token as things that connect to Twitch do. It will then use that token to listen for chat redeem events, and when one happens, it will dynamically generate some HTML over your OBS scene, and you should be all set. Audio sources from browser sources in OBS are also self-contained, so once I get the clip that they want to play, the little ding, I can hook that up as well. And so I think that's pretty straightforward. I did a little bit of research on how to connect to the Twitch API, so I didn't get totally blindsided by like trying to figure this out completely on stream. So from scratch is, I guess, a bit of a misnomer. I have some pre-existing knowledge, but overall I think we can basically go from nothing to the most basic prototype that just needs like polishing and like graphics by the end of maybe 2 hours. Maybe that's a generous estimate. I don't know. We will see. At any rate, let's see, what do I got? So we're gonna hop over to capture groups, WebDev, VS Code. As with all things on this channel, we start from VS Code, where dreams are made. We're making an HTML page today, so we start with the most important tag of all time, doc type HTML, HTML, tell that we're starting with HTML. We're gonna have a head, which is where we're gonna put links to styling and such, and we're gonna have a body. As I was saying, the primary thing we need to do first and foremost, if we're gonna connect to Twitch at all, is we need to collect a authentication token. And that is basically a way that says, hey, I'm such and such Twitch user. It doesn't involve any kind of networking. It does involve networking, but it's largely self-contained. I don't have to write any new server code for this. I'm just interfacing with the Twitch API, which is why I did a little bit of research ahead of time. But I guess you're right in that regard. I'm reasonably sure I can reproduce my results, barring any annoying typos. Yeah. So we need to get a token The user will need to supply a token via a little text field in the browser source. Once they give that token, it will then know to connect to Twitch. Once it does that, it will begin listening for channel redeems from the channel, and you'll be able to click a button that's like, listen for a redeem. You'll do a redeem, and it's like, got it. Anytime that redeem happens, I will do the effect that we're talking about here, and we'll save all of this so you don't have to reconfigure it every single time. That's the plan. So first and foremost, let's get a way to insert a token. We are going to use my favorite form of HTML on Dive, the form tag. Forms are a ancient piece of WebDev technology. They let you input data and then post it to the browser as a query parameter, which means it goes in the URL. Yeah, I've seen those tokens in OBS. I'm listening to see how this works. I think you will like it. Let me know if anything on the screen is like too small, or I'm being too loud, or I don't know. If you have any complaints, speak up. I will be paying my best attention to the chat. Anyway, form. Let's see, we're gonna do ID equals token form. We're gonna have input ID equals token input, I think, and name is equal to token, I think, is what we're gonna want to do here, and type is equal to password, which will prevent it from being visible, and then we're gonna have input. What is it? It's like a button, I think. Hold on. So far, so good. That's good to hear. That's good to hear. I hope I can make this engaging. Also, I haven't done programming on the channel in quite a long time. I've been waylaid by, like, Pokemon for God knows how long. I've pretty much pivoted to becoming an exclusively Pokemon-related channel, for better or worse. I don't really know how I feel about that, but it's just how things have shaken out. Let's see, what am I doing? It's a... Okay, so input ID is going to be like token submit, I think. And this is going to be type equals submit. Get it working. This can make for a good tutorial video later. Yeah, we'll see. I think I could probably speedrun this once I get the fundamentals out of the way. And then the value is going to be the text on the button. Use this token. There we go. So now we have a form. That's two properties. It's a text input field and a button. The name property here, I believe, will make the URL. So you're going to click the button, and it will go from whatever your URL was to that URL token equals blah 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 blah. And that blah 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 can be grabbed from JavaScript, and we can use that as we need to. So that's how forms work. They basically submit data to like a remote server. In this case, we don't have a remote server. We're just adding it to our URL. So let's test that. And let's also add, I guess, like a label, probably, right? We'll have to have a way to actually get a token. This does not get us a token. This is a means to input a token. So let's open this up in a browser. Let's see if I can show what I'm talking about here. Always want to show rather than tell. Where's my thing? Here we go. How many arrows? Make this nice and big. 300%, and then we're going to go back to WebDev. VS Code off. Hi, Kari. Kari Panko. Hope it's going well. Okay, so we can see up here the URL, since it's from a file, is like get repos, dredeem, index.html. I'm going to say my token is funny token string. I'm going to go ahead and hit use this token. Because we did a post, we can now see in the URL. I wish I could make this part bigger. You're just going to have to trust me on this one. But we did a reload of the page. So now it's index.html token equals funny token string. I am making a redeem for client. They wanted a thing that lets them spam arrows on the screen like this. Client Twitch users would be able to press a button and it would make an arrow appear at a random place on the screen, which they obviously got working here. But they wanted the additional punch-up of having the requester's or redeemer's name printed on the arrow, so you could see what percentage of these arrows you personally are contributing to. I think this is a Final Fantasy thing. I didn't really ask for any more detail than that. They seem to be a Final Fantasy focused streamer, so I'm assuming this has something to do with, like, raid patterns. I don't know. Doesn't really matter to me why they want it, but it's definitely feasible. So yeah, that's basically that. So I'm going to make a browser source that they can add to OBS that will overlay their entire scene, and you'll upload a token, and it'll start listening for a redeem, and when that redeem happens, it'll generate some nice HTML that we can style to be the arrows that they want. That's the plan. Oh, maybe it's not Final Fantasy related. I was just making an assumption. I didn't really ask, because, again, it doesn't matter to me why they want this. The fact of the matter is it's easy. Okay, so we are able to get the token in the URL, which means it's time to make some JavaScript. Let's go back to VS Code. So we're going to add a new file, script.js, beloved JavaScript name. Okay, so we're going to say we want to get the stuff out of the URL, which is a very easy function of JavaScript. There's a whole class dedicated to doing this. There is it's what, URL search params, const params equal new URL search params, and then it's location.search. Location.search, I believe, normally returns the whole search string, and then this helper class turns that into a nice array of key value pairs. So key being token, value equals whatever the token is. So then we can say if params.as token. So if there is a key that is token, that means we're probably good. Const token equals params.get token. Easy enough, easy enough. So we're capturing this from our query parameter. And then we're going to want to use this for purposes later. We also want to make sure that if we have a token, we save it to local storage, which I think is going to matter here. Let's see, the page itself will be local, but open in browser for OBS to use. Yeah. So OBS, you can just have browser sources in OBS. I've done this a bunch of times for, like, for example, my ribbon tracker, which you might remember from my long Pokemon journey. This is just a piece of HTML. This is effectively a web page that I'm just running in OBS. So, like, that's an example of a browser source. Things like that. I made that specifically for streaming and having it run on OBS. It was not intended to be like a web page you go and visit. So that's the same thing here. I'm using HTML and a web page as a way of drawing stuff on screen because it is what I'm familiar with. It lets me program stuff in a relatively self-contained package. This is probably going to have, I think, 3 or 4 files associated with it. You're going to have the HTML, you're going to have JavaScript, and you're going to have the style sheet to style it, and then probably an image file. If I really wanted to get compact about it, I could embed the script and the styling in the HTML, and you can even encode the image as a string of bytes and encode that on the HTML as well. But we'll see how much they need. Yeah, OBS itself can just open pages. It's called a browser source. That's how I got, like, this in here. Hey Minty, how's it going? I am making a redeem for a client, because apparently I take commissions now. I had, back at like the start of April, I had 3 or 4 different people reach out to me within the span of 2 weeks being like, hey, I wanted to know if I could commission you for something. I have never advertised taking commissions in my entire life, my entire career. I don't know where they all got it in their head at the same time. So naturally I said yes to all of them, because nobody balked at the prices I was quoting them. So, now I have to make good on all those promises. It was pretty good. One of them was a request for Offkai, the VTuber Expo that happened back in May, I want to say. I programmed a networking protocol so that they could send real autograph data. Like, the talent would have a little touchscreen web page that they could draw their signature on with their finger or like a stylus or a pen. And then it would beam the stroke data to a server at Offkai, where a CNC machine would draw it in real time with a pen. So it was effectively like getting a real autograph from a person, instead of like a printed thing. And you could like personalize them and such, because you'd be able to make a new one every time and just beam it over to the machine, and the machine would just repeat those brush strokes. So that was fun. That was on a real short time crunch, because I had, I think, about 3 weeks to turn that from nothing to something, but it seems like it worked out pretty well. I, of course, didn't get to go to Offguy. I think, no, I wasn't at NAIC at that point. That was before NAIC. I was doing something. I think I was at a wedding. I couldn't go to Offguy, so I've never actually gotten to see it in action, but I have seen a couple of the autographs that it produced, and they do look like, you know, a thing you would get a person to write for you. They don't look mechanically made at all. So I was pretty happy about that. I don't... Oh yeah, then another one of the things I got commissioned to make was a MIDI controller for VTube Studio. I have a client who wants to rig their model to be able to play an instrument, and so they wanted to be able to capture MIDI data so they can get accurate finger tracking without having to like actually track fingers. They just want to track like note presses. So that was a thing I made. That I handed over to them back in April, I want to say, maybe early May. And they're going to debut in July, I think, not to put, like, pressure on them. I obviously won't name who they are until they reveal themselves. But that's a thing, and that tool will become available to the public following their debut of their new model. And then this one came in. And I feel very bad because I think this one is actually relatively simple. It just simply had to come third in priority. The Offkai one was... The MIDI one I took on first. And then I got to work on that, and then I got the one about Offkai, and I was like, well, Offkai happens at a certain date. I have to get it done before then. I can't prioritize it later. So that one happened, and then this one came in. So, we're here. You know this, Tom. That's cool. Do I know you? You know this, Tom. That's cool. If I apologize if I do know you and I don't recognize your username or whatever. What am I doing here? I should close that. Oh, from Hyperate. Cool. Nice. Thank you. Thank you for collaborating with me in the past. It is appreciated. I direct people to your service very frequently. Okay, so we're getting a token. We're going to want to do something with it. Let's see. So what's the right way to do this? We're going to also leverage a thing called local storage here, which is like, not cloud space, but it is basically persistent memory that exists in the browser, which is very useful. So like, again, going back to my ribbon capture, or ribbon tracker, the progress on all the ribbons that I caught was saved in local storage, that it would remember this every time I booted up OBS. And I didn't need to have like an external file or any other kind of method for tracking progress. I didn't need to recheck every ribbon I'd gotten every time I booted up OBS. So that's what local storage is for. We're going to use that here. Specifically, we're going to use that to remember our token. So we're going to do, first and foremost, let's come up with some keys to save things in our local storage. So const token key, let's call it that. Key is going to be equal to which theme token, and then it's going to be, let's do document dot title. There we go. Should be an underscore, like such. So this means that we'll save files with the name, Twitch or Redeem, and then whatever we name this page. So like if I go back here, I can do like meta title equals the arrow Redeem, I think is probably a suitable name. And so that means that this page's title is D's arrow Redeem. We could probably actually do apostrophe. I think that's valid in a key. Head title test, exactly. Yeah. I think you can just use meta title. I don't remember if title's its own tag. We're gonna find out together. So we're gonna say that's the name of our token. We're gonna say if local storage dot get item token key. If we have that, then we're going to what do we want to do with this? Actually, we're probably going to want to do this later. So if we don't have a token in the URL, we can try and fish one out of here and pretend like we had it. Title is its own tag? I can never remember. I'll take your word for it. I know there's also a meta. Title. I'll take your word for it. Meta also works, and that's for web crawling. we'll do this for now. We'll see what happens. I will take your word for it. Worst case, I'm wrong. Nothing's ever set in stone. Okay, so we have our token key. We have our token. So if we have token in the URL, we're going to pop it off and use it. Otherwise, we're going to see if we have it in storage. And we can probably use it then that way. Const token equals local storage dot get item token key. Cool. And then we're going to say document dot get element by ID. We're going to fetch our token input. This is very circular, but I think it will work. We're going to get the field. And we're going to, where we're typing these things in, value, equal to token. And then we're going to do document.get. So we're getting the two form pieces that we made. This one's token submit. Click. So if we have a token in storage that we can fetch, what we're going to do is we're going to auto-populate this form that we filled in, and we're going to spoof a click onto it, which will reload the page, put the token in the URL parameters up here, and that'll take us into this conditional block. And then we can do whatever we need to do in here. So this is a way that will basically be guaranteed to have the token if we ever remember it. And then, of course, in here, what we're going to want to do is local storage dot set item token key, and actually save our token. So there we go. So when you put in a token and hit submit, it goes into the URL, we pluck it out of the URL on the page reload, save it in storage, and then if you were to refresh the page, it should just know. And I can demonstrate that right now. So we're going to go back here. I'm going to go to my browser page, try and make this nice and big. We're going to say, like right now we have, oh, actually, that's interesting. It seems to have remembered it. That's cool. So I go to this, and we do new token string whatever. We click use this token. It's now in the URL up here. If I were to remove this from the URL and hit refresh, something is not happening. Do I have an error? Oh! I didn't actually include this script in the... Another important thing to remember is if you're going to use JavaScript, you have to actually, like, use it. So, let's see, we're going to do script. I didn't add a script tag. It's not attached to this page in any way. Equals script. Kind of important. Footer belongs inside body. Get off my case. It doesn't matter. It's all fake. It doesn't matter. You can run whatever you want. You're right, though. Does it, though? Because the head doesn't belong inside body. Head is separate from body. It's head, body, footer. Isn't it? Or can I realistically, I can just put my script outside the body. They don't need to be in a footer. I don't think it actually matters. Maybe I'm wrong. Anyway. Let's try this again. So now we can go to our browser. It's all just suggestions here, exactly. It's you can run whatever you want. So now we have our script that's actually attached. Head not equal to header. You're probably right. Actually, you're definitely right. But again, it doesn't matter. Best practices go out the window. Nobody has to see it as long as it works. So we're gonna do token string 1 2 3 4 5. Cool. So we actually have our code here. I can click use this token. It goes into the URL. And so in theory, if I were to reload this page now, there we go. It just remembers that that's our token, which is good. Because it means that we're now going to execute every time we reload the page after we've gotten our first Twitch authentication token. We will always enter our loop of our parameter has token. We're all set. I think that's good. I think that's what we want. That's desirable. So then the question is, how do we actually get a working token and all of that? There is a cool website useful for that. One of the plugins that I'm using right now, the one where you can throw stuff at my head, if you like this one. This plugin uses a website called the Twitch OAuth token generator. And so you have to go register your application with the Twitch developer dashboard, which I've already done. You specify a list of available scopes that you want to use, and then you give it this as a redirect URL. And so what will happen is when you click the link to get a token from Twitch, it will redirect you to this page, which will have a nice way to display the token that you're about to get. No, it is actually not just tits. I'm actually using a different thing because it lets me use sprites. Karasu Bank is the name of the one that I've always used, which I guess is kind of hypocritical, since I did have indirect hand in generating, not generating, in the facilitation of the Twitch integrated throwing system, because that's a Unity application. I can't really speak to why I adopted this one. It lets me specify sounds and use 2D sprites, which I liked. Maybe some other things. You can do like that also, which is nice. I have a bunch of different things that get thrown at me, which is good. Something from every branch of my hobbies, basically. Anyways, yeah. So that uses a way to get. It uses this page to get a Twitch token, and I've already gone ahead and gotten the link that will let me do that. Yeah. If you've ever seen me work on VTS Sharp, the Unity library for VTube Studio, that is what that plugin runs on. So I had an indirect hand on it. I wasn't like consulted too much in making it, but that is part of what I did. So anyway, yeah, the URL to get a token is like ID Twitch OAuth authorize response type token. Our client ID, which is not supposed to be private because it is like a web app, is this whole long string. Our redirect URI is that page that we were just looking at, which means that when we get a token, after authenticating our user and saying, yes, I allow Twitch to use, or to listen to my account in these ways, which is what scope means. So if, like, for example, if we go back to our browser, I think there's a list of, like, allowed scopes somewhere. Yeah, Twitch access token scopes. So what we're looking for here is, I think, just channel read? Channel read messages, probably? Channel read redemptions. Oops, sorry. I'm showing the wrong thing. There we go. So, like, the scope that we would be having our token with is channel read redemptions, which means that this token is only ever allowed to, like, listen for this. Doesn't let the token update our bio or anything or start streaming on our behalf. This is how security works in the world of tokens. So we would be requesting a token, specifically, if I go back to VS Code now, ours is, our scope here is channel read redemptions, and I can read the chat as well. So those are the two things that this token would be able to do. Nothing malicious, it's just listening. So I had this already. We're just going to add a little link that will take you to the redirect there, and the tokens are pretty harmless. So, like, I can go ahead on my browser here and just showcase that wholesale. So now we can make this. I wish this would remember that I want it to be really big. You can click this link, open it outside OBS, gives us a token. Cool. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and use this token, and now it will remember that forever. Very, very cool. Thank you, Twitch OAuth token generator. You've been a real one. So now we have that pretty much set forever. If the token gets compromised, that's like not a huge deal. It just means that somebody can listen to my chat, which is why I don't mind flashing it on screen right now. They can't really do anything malicious with it, and I believe I can invalidate them later. These are not highest security tokens in any particular way. And once you have this as a page running in OBS, the URL will never be visible, and the token will never be visible to anybody on stream anyway. So, like, this is totally fine. Yeah, I mean, yeah, you'd be able to listen to my chat. You wouldn't even be able to write into the chat with that token. So, go for it. Have fun. Anyway, we've got our token now, which means that when we're in this block, we have a working token that we can actually use for whatever purposes we need to do. So now we want to listen for channel redeems, right? Wouldn't it be channel manage redemptions? No, that would be if we wanted to make a new redeem. But that's one thing this could do. The plan I had in place was just going to be, we'll have a button on the HTML that says, like, listen for a token, or listen for a redeem to respond to. You would go ahead and click that button, it would be listening, you'd go ahead and redeem whatever redeem you want to link to the thing that this is going to do, and it'd be like, got it, understood, that is the redeem type that I will be listening for. Anytime that redeem happens, I will also execute my code, etc., etc. that means that the token we have is basically the lowest possible level of like permissions. It cannot modify your channel in any way. You'd still have to go and make the redeem on the Twitch dashboard, but I think that's fine. You definitely are allowed to read redemptions. I mean, that's the we just saw. VS Code. Where is it? Twitch access scopes. Channel read redemptions is right here. That is absolutely a thing you're allowed to do. Manage redemptions will let you like create and delete rewards, but you can get redemptions with the read redemption scope. Positive, this works, I promise. I'm not leading you astray. Okay. Rewards are limited to the created app. I don't know what you mean by that. Like, yes, they have to already exist, but I think that's fine in exchange for making the token, like, basically worthless. You'd have to go into the Twitch dashboard and make a redemption like what I've done for all of these, and then you just listen for one of them. I think that's an acceptable workflow. That's how I had to do it for like the Strike My Skull one, for example. The app I'm using didn't make the redeem for me. It just asked me to make a redeem and then say, what do you want to listen for? Let's say you create the reward with streamer.bot, then you are not allowed to read the redemptions. I don't think that's true. Which is to say that I tested the ability for this token that I'm talking about here to listen to, say, the Strike My Skull redeem. And it can listen to that. Unless there is something with... It's in their docs. I don't understand. So, can it listen to the... Can it listen to, like, this one because I made this by hand and not through any application? Is that what you're saying? Because I know I can listen to every redeem that I have so far I tested with, and yes, it can listen to all of them that will respond to any of them. But that's probably because I made them all by hand and they're not created by an app? Maybe? If you create it by hand, it should work. Interesting. Okay. Well, that will be a thing I can address later. It would be as simple as updating this string to request an increased scope for the token, if I need to expand that later. My focus was making the token basically worthless. Thank you. Should be kept in mind. Thank you. That had not occurred to me whatsoever because I did not read beyond what these do. So manage redemptions. Will you update redemption stats? Update custom reward. I don't see why this would let... Or, I don't see why this would give us any elevated permissions. But that's good to know. Let's read this. Get custom... Oops. Data broadcaster. Channel read redemptions or channel manage redemptions. Yeah, broadcaster that owns the custom reward. ID that identifies them. Let me zoom out, actually. It's kind of difficult for me to read when we're 150% zoomed in. Sorry, viewers. Oops. And right, that's how these pages work. Gets an extensions list of Wait, did I go to the thing? I went to the wrong thing. Custom reward redemption. Wait, what did I do? Okay. Gets a list of redemptions for the specified custom reward. The app used to create the reward is the only app that may get these redemptions. Interesting. So I wasn't going to use an HTTP GET request like what they want here. I was going to use PubSub, which is a WebSocket where you just listen for events. So events would be things like somebody sends a chat message, a redeem has been used, and I didn't read too much into this, but I wonder if this has a different set of rules for listening for when a thing is redeemed. I doubt it would. That would be strange. But I do wonder if there might be a discrepancy there. And I don't know where that would be in here. PubSub. API limits connection management. Topics. Because you just like listen to a topic. And so an example for a topic would be a custom reward is redeemed in a channel, which is what I'm going to be listening to. And so you'd just be listening to the topic, channel point, channel v1, and then your channel ID. And I would assume that this is a fire hose of every channel redeem that you've got, because there's no additional discriminator you can specify that says, like, I am whatever application, unless it's based on the OAuth token, somehow linking to the app that created the channel. I don't know. This is a very interesting thing that I'll try and test later off stream and see if that ends up being an issue. But good to know. Let's see. Okay. Where was I? What was I doing? So we're back in VS Code. We have our token. We want to connect to use the token in PubSub. So, oh yeah, okay. And then whole cloth, I was just copying the PubSub example from, they have a nice JavaScript example here. So we can go to like our main. This talks about what the PubSub publisher subscriber model here is. We have some nice helper methods I can just basically yoink, which I will do. So we're gonna do that. Heartbeat, and we want a nonce, which is a funny term that I forgot to look up what it exactly means, but it's good. It's like a secondary type of token. Okay. So back in VS Code, we've yoinked our connection code, but that's fine. So first thing we've got is this nonce, which is like a secondary type of token. This is a random string that we generate when we send it to the WebSocket, and the WebSocket will respond back to us with the same string. That is a way that we guarantee that the responses we're getting from the WebSocket are, it is the same client basically. It's like a secret, I guess you'd say, beyond just the token. So we're confirming that the back and forth is with who we're expecting it to be. So we just generate basically a random string from all these letters. Cool. Heartbeat keeps the socket alive, which is totally fine. We don't need to print out anything. That's fine. We're going to listen for a topic at some point. Our auth token is going to be token here, which we plucked out earlier. We're going to get our nonce. We don't need to print anything, so that's fine. We have our connection. Cool. I'll have some display info for this later, but for now I don't really need to. We can just do console.error. And then for getting messages, we'll do stuff in here shortly. Console.log message. Oop. Print out what we're getting. That's fine. We need to reconnect. Connecting. Pop, pop, pop. Closing. We'll say that the socket is closed. We stop sending a heartbeat, and then we try and reconnect on an interval. Cool. All of these things are good and standard WebSocket things that we want to do. And then our WebSocket is pubsub edge.twitch.tv. Perfectly good. Last thing we need to do is just make sure that we initialize WebSocket here, which we can do. WS. Yeah, I think that works. Probably want to move these into here. That's fine, so that they can have a reference to this guy. So we can do like const. I think. No, we probably can't because reconnect is going to. What does reconnect to do? Oh, we'll just connect again, that's fine. So that's good, that's fine. And then we'll want to listen to a topic at some point. We'll have to come up with what that topic is together. That's fine. Okay. So on open, we're going to start a heartbeat, which is good. And here we're also going to want to validate our token, and we're going to start using it for stuff. So one thing that I wanted to be able to do is be able to like say to the user, yes, your token is valid. And we're also going to, as I was looking at in the docs, over yonder in the pub sub docs, we were saying like the channel, the topic that we're listening to is channel points, channel v1 dot channel ID. Hey, stumbling through JS Twitch. This is fun. Thank you. MVP Manatee, that's a fantastic username. Bonus arrow, welcome to the Skeletom channel here. I'm making a Twitch redeem from more or less scratch for a client. They wanted something simple that will just like plaster little icons all over their screen with the redeemers' names on those icons. So I'm using some JavaScript and some HTML to make a browser source for OBS for them. And hopefully they like that. But yeah, good to see you. Thank you for stopping by. Anyway, okay, so yeah, we need the channel ID of the person that we are listening to the channel for this pub sub. That's how like this gets narrowed down. The fire host gets narrowed down to just your channel. And so right now the only thing we have is a token, which is like cool and does provide a way for us to get said user ID. But for now, let's go ahead and just like get which user ID from name. I'm sure there's a website that does this. Getting user IDs. Unified Twitch username to channel ID converter. Cool. So my username is Skeletom ch _ch convert. Cool. Got my channel ID. So let's say on open we're gonna start listening. Listen for the topic, and we said it was that's my number, and then our channel topic, channel points topic is this thing. So that would make our string this. Is that yours? Oh yeah, I mean, I'm not gonna hard code it to her. We're gonna get it from the token that you used to authenticate. There's a way to do that, and I'll go over that in a little bit. But for now, I just wanted to show an example. So I'm gonna say in the onOpen, as soon as we open our PubSub WebSocket, we're gonna start listening to this topic, and then what do we want to do? We're gonna get messages as a result. So let's do that. I'm gonna go ahead now and reload my page in browser. Thank you for fetching hers though, but yeah, there will be a way to get it out of your auth token. I'll go over that. We reload this. I'm gonna open up the browser here. We should be... I didn't invoke the connect function. Hold on. We're gonna do that. Connect. Way at the end of here, we're gonna do... hold on. That's one... much like including JavaScript is an important way to get JavaScript to work, calling the function you want to use is typically a good way to make sure that it happens. So here we're going to do connect. So if we have a token, we'll try and connect immediately. Cool. Reload this with the local URL. Yeah. So because this is going to be a browser source in OBS, this does not have any kind of backend server, and it doesn't need one. You can do pretty much everything you need to do from a static web page for OBS. So for an example of something that I've done earlier, here's a ribbon tracker that I did for Pokemon because I'm a tremendous Pokemon nerd. I wanted to go ahead and collect every single ribbon in every game on a single Pokemon. And so what you're looking at right now on OBS here is a local HTML page that has no backend server of any kind. It's just some nice styling, some good old HTML and CSS, and some light JavaScript for populating a grid and filtering things. But it would let me click on these different ribbons, say if I've completed them or not. It would fill up a little bar that says how far my progress was, and none of this needs a server. This is just a local file being rendered as HTML in OBS, which is fun. So that's the plan for this one as well. And even though there is some networking happening for what I'm doing here, where there wasn't for the ribbon tracker, all of that networking can happen in JavaScript locally on the client side. We don't need a backend server. So I'm going to go ahead and reload this page. And look at that. We are getting responses from our pub sub. So we do our ping pong. This is, I believe, for the heartbeat. We get a response for listening, which is awesome. I'm going to go ahead and use a channel point redeem right now. And check that out. We get information. Beautiful, beautiful data. I can do it again. And we get another one. So the pub sub is working.
Wow.
And hey, there's your wow. So these are structured how? They've got a type at the high level. Then they have a data property, and the data has a message, which has a type and data. Do you guys track all that? So the path to get to what we're trying to do is data dot message dot data, and then I don't know what's in there, but we can find out. Yeah, JSON parse is going to come to the rescue in a minute here. There's another heartbeat pong. So now we're going to go back to VS Code, and we're going to clean this up a little bit. So now we know in our on message, there's message type reconnect, which we didn't get yet, but there's also else if message dot type equals message. Yeah, it's grabbing all the information about every individual redeem. There's a lot of information, too, as we're about to find out. There's, like, a timestamp. There's, like, what the icon for the redeem looks like. There's what its name is. There's an underlying unique identifier that's... So, like, you could change the name for a redeem, but its underlying identifier would stay the same, which is good. That's how all usernames should be.
Get a load of this!
There you go. That's a different one. We can even pop back to our browser again, and I'm sure that showed up. Oh, sorry. There we go. That's what I want to show. That's probably this one. And I've even had one that nobody's redeemed yet, which I'm very flattered for, which is this.
This isn't interesting.
Triple equals is strong equivalence. I always struggle to remember what the difference is in JavaScript. But triple equals would be like same memory address, I want to say, in JavaScript, or like... No, that's not it. That's not true. It's a stronger form of equivalence. For strings, it's typically fine. Yeah, there you go. That's a really good example, thank you. So, like, 0 and false are, like, can be cast to the same thing, whereas 0 is not literally equal to false. That's a really good example. So for strings, it doesn't matter, typically, because if you cast a string to a string, it's still the same thing, as long as it's string-like. Oh man, I've got all people coming out of the woodwork. Basically, don't use double equals unless you have a very good reason. Interesting. What would be... So, like, what are you saying would be the consequence of me using double equals here? What if these are expected to both be string-like? How would this backfire? I typically think of you would want to use... Yeah, it does type coercions, which is fine, because they're strings, right? I typically think of you do want to use double equals, because you typically want something that's falsy or truthy. Only time I've had it come up, where it's like a real problem, is if you're doing, like... for a good example would be like, you're doing some kind of like numeric stuff where it's treating the number as a string. Switches also make sense. I'm just following the pattern that we inherited here. I can flip this to a switch later, and if it'll placate the audience, I will do triple equals, if it pleases the court. So then we're going to do const inner message equals json.parse. Yeah. I mean, JavaScript definitely is kind of goofy with how it does type coercions. I'm thinking, based on gut instinct, that the difference between double and triple equals doesn't really matter for string-to-string comparisons. It definitely gets weird if you're trying to compare, like, a string to the number version of a string. Like, if you have the literal, like, we were saying, like, 1 equals 1. Can get tricky, and I don't quite know off the top of my head how that resolves. But for string-to-string comparisons, I think it is pretty much always safe. Well, the good thing your boss isn't here, and your boss is not reviewing my code. I am a firm believer of, if it like works functionally and you can explain why it works, then it is good enough. I'm very sure that DeeKitty is not going to perform a code review on this, so as long as I can explain like how this works and perform maintenance on it if she needed to, I think it is good enough. I don't want to let perfect be the enemy of good in terms of getting something out the door to her, as her time is valuable and she is a paying customer. But no, best practices are good. You're right. There's a lot of hemming and hawing that can be done over, like, We have to follow best practices and make the code up to whatever standard. But ultimately, this is a bespoke toy that I'm delivering to a single client. And as long as I can understand what needs to be done for it, nobody else is going to need to review this code and presumably maintain it. So I think that's fine. Switch true is a real thing in JavaScript. I don't know if that would do off the top of my head. Because it's switch and then the variable you want to evaluate. So I don't know what happens if you evaluate true. Would it just do every case? That would do every case, right? Anyway, message. Data? I could try it. But I don't really care. My chat is trying very hard to distract me right now, while I'm being a good little boy and trying to get a redeem done for a paying client. Everyone wants to derail me with esoteric knowledge about the language. So we've got data. Wait, so we've got data.message. Oh yeah, okay, data.message is what we're trying to. So I have this backwards. I've got message. Data.message, I think, is what I've got. And then console. JavaScript is very silly. Switch true, case true. Interesting. Yeah. I'm gonna try and keep that out of my brain right now, because it's not germane to what I'm doing, but it is fun. Okay, so we've connected. We get a response. Awesome. I'll redeem my little head chuck. And we should have a beautiful object now fully parsed that we can peruse at our leisure. Our data has a redemption field if it's of type reward redeemed. So that's a thing we'll need to check for as well. And then there's a reward. There's an ID redeemed at the user who redeemed it, so that's useful. So this is important because, again, my client wanted these arrows to have the display name of the person who redeemed it. So that's good to know. We have that. So that's there. And we have our ID of the redeem, which I believe is the same. So let me test that. Again, with another head toss redeem. Is this ID the same each time? No. So this is the ID of the instance of the thing, but the reward ID is probably the same in both of these. Reward ID, yeah, F97. Yes. F97. Awesome. So that's what I'm looking for. So let's pop some variables out of here. Const reward ID is equal to, we were saying it's data dot redemption dot reward dot ID. I've lost control of my chat, which is fine. Inner message dot data dot I think that's what we're looking for. And then we're also going to want to do if inner message dot type equals. Oh, I should be showing VS Code. When you write code in async, you lose control. True enough. Oh, you guys are gonna love this actually. So hold on, let's look at what we've got here. So the API for Twitch has a type, data, and then that has a message, which has a type and data, right? The type for the high-level class, or high-level object, is message all caps. The type for the inner message here is reward redeemed lowercase. Why? Why is it not all uppercase? This seems like it's breaking conventions. I don't know. So here we're gonna do reward. There's reward redeemed, right? Naming conventions. One is a WS message type, the other is a DT. Okay, people have the answer. Okay, I'm asking questions and showing my amateur skills, I suppose. People actually have answers to these questions. I'm terrified. I should just keep my mouth shut. God forbid I learn something. That would be terrifying. But I guess that's fair. One's like a sentinel, not sentinel value. I understand what you're saying. It's like an enum versus something else. So const redeemer name is inner message dot data. DTOs, yeah, I mean, because they're like domain objects, right? So both are coming from DTOs. WebSocket on its own are distinguished only between string and binary messages. Yeah, fair enough. Data dot all Greek to me. Where is message initiated? So message is, we've got event.data. Everything's always .data. It's just like chains of .data. So we have message, which is event.data, and we have our inner message, which is message.data.message. And now we've got message.data.message.data.redemption.reward.id. Isn't that fun? So if we were to break this all down, it would be event.data.message.data.message.data.redemption.reward.id. Isn't that fun? That's so nice. And this is going to be, how do we get this? Reward. .user.login. Doesn't seem that bad to me. Well, you've got thicker skin than I. Yeah, I mean, it's literally correct. It makes sense. It's just funny. It's funny when you read it out loud, in my opinion. Redemption. Hold on. Redemption. Oh, okay. Oops. Did not mean to click on that. Redemption. Redemption. There we go. .user.login. Okay, so we've got the reward ID and the redeemer's username. As with all good things, we will test this by printing it out. So we're going to go back to our browser. Uncaught. Can't read properties of undefined rewards. Did I do this wrong? I must have. Data.redemption. Did I flip the order of these? I probably did. Data.redemption. No? Okay, hold on. Data. Redemption. Did I spell it wrong? Typo in redemption, thank you, that's what I thought. You're so right. Let's see. And that's the fun of JavaScript also, is IntelliSense can only take you so far. I could find like a JS def for this, and I might make one later if I really cared, because that is the thing I've done for a lot of other projects. We'll just make like a type def that VS Code can understand, but I don't expect to have to interface with this object too much more beyond these two fields. That's really the only things I care about. I need a reward ID that I can like keep track of, so I know I'm always responding to the same redemption type, and I care about who redeemed it, and I don't think I care about anything else. Oh, that's cool. Seribot actually banned somebody for me. Awesome. Thanks, Seribot. Usually it slips through anyway. Cool. Cool. Okay, let's try that again. Make work now, optimize later. Yeah, again, I mean, there are definitely two schools of thought about that. Like, I don't want to build so much technical debt that this becomes bad later. But I am really a strong proponent of, like, perfect is the enemy of good. So let's try this. We reload. We listen for our redeem. There we go. Perfect. And that's who I am. So that makes sense. We have the two pieces of data we need. We probably don't need to worry about the object structure too much more beyond this. So we're good there. Let's see. What do we want to do? Oh, yeah. So I was also talking about how we have my user ID here, which is obviously not something
This isn't interesting.
Rude, first of all. But not something I want to bake in to the app. We're going to need this to be whoever is redeeming this. It will be D eventually, but there's no reason to not make it just pop that up. Oh, thank you for the follow, by the way. There's a saying in the digital underworld, if it doesn't read rest in peace on your tombstone, you get drafted into the Skeleton War. So thank you very, very much for your voluntary conscription. We have decent benefits. We've got dental. Saves me from needing to draft some poor sucker in the afterlife. So thank you very much. I'm trying to get back into the swing of doing programming streams. Most of my client stuff I've not been able to really show off. Like, the stuff for Offkai was, like, proprietary, so I couldn't stream doing that. And it was largely networking security based, so I didn't really want to stream that. I'm trying to get back off my high horse of just being a game streamer, though I am a ordained Pokemon professor, hence the Pokeballs that you can throw at my head. I am, like, given the authority to run Pokemon events on behalf of the Pokemon company, so that's a lot of my content as well. But I would like to get back to my roots, which are code making and pizza baking. And I haven't done a pizza stream in a while either, but if you like baking, if you want to, if you ever want to learn how to make like dough from scratch and things like that, I've got streams for that as well. Anyway, what was I talking about? Oh yeah, getting my user ID. There is a way to do this, and it is with the validate API. So let's look that up. Where is that? This is the Twitch access token scopes. We're gonna go back to here. Ponko shows up just for the pizza mention. Validate. Who must validate tokens? OS session must call / validate to validate that the access token is still valid. How to validate a token. Yep, so you'll be able to post against this validate API, and you'll get an object back that has the client ID, which is fine, but crucially will have your login name. And this is what I want to fetch, because then I can flip, or sorry, the user ID, which is what I want to fetch. So we're able to turn our authenticated token into a user ID, which is the number that I currently have baked in. So what we're going to do is we are going to, on open here, we're going to open a const xhr, and let me pop that back over. xhr equals new xml. And if somebody wants to get on my case about the use of XML HTTP requests because they're probably outdated, I frankly don't care. You're probably correct. Again, it works. It's fine. Like, I'm sure there's a better alternative. There's some kind of library, but I don't care. Roll with it. I like the attitude. So we're going to do xhr dot on, what is it going to be? On, or add event listener. Between, you are also required to check it against the endpoint like every hour, otherwise Twitch could suspend the app if they want to. Good to know, good to know. Easy enough to bake in a check interval here. Axios is the best, but I respect vanilla vibes. Yeah, like for this, it seems like it is unnecessary to get another library involved. Like so far, I've not needed to import anybody else's code but mine. So I'm gonna stick with it. Like I'm not running this at any kind of scale or industry level, or like any kind of industrial level where I would need optimizations beyond that. Vanilla would be fetch nowadays. I could probably be using fetch. This is just what I know, because I'm not a professional web dev by any stretch, as you can clearly tell. Load, and we're gonna do some kind of callback. We're gonna do like. I think I can do that. Then we can do if this dot. I forgot the comma. Oops. Maybe I'm a hipster Axios guy. Yeah, there's like, obviously there's 100 ways to do the same thing, which is why I don't think it's worth getting too hung up over any particular one. So if we have this, we're going to say const user ID is equal to parse. And then it's going to be, as we saw, user ID, and then const user name. Why not get the name at the same time? Login. Then if this is successful, we're gonna go ahead and do the listen like that instead of just always. So then we'll do a listen, and we'll pass in our token, or not our token, our user ID, like such. And we can do like a div h2 Okay, so we're gonna do a little request. When we get a response, we're gonna try and parse the response, get the user ID and login out of it. We'll use the ID to listen for our pub sub, and we'll print out the username on the screen to say like, welcome so-and-so, thank you for logging in. Cool. The other things we need to do is xhr.open, of course. We're gonna actually make the request. It's gonna be a get, and what was the OAuth 2 endpoint for validate? It's this thing. Oops. There's our validate. XHR dot set request header. We need to do authorization, and then it's going to be OAuth. And what's our token? I think it's just token, our token, right? Token. Yeah, and then we can do xhr.send. So now if we fire up the browser again, maybe magic will happen. Or maybe not. It's not doing what I wanted. Why? This tells me that we're not running the load callback. I think I probably need to do this. I know this works if it's bound, but binding is also always confusing to me in JavaScript because it's not my primary language. Let's try again. Does that not do anything? Something is not going right. What's wrong here? We're sending. We're getting. I think I spelled authorization correctly. We have our OAuth token. I'm guessing we're just not getting this. What's the net? You're so right. We have tools to figure this out, but I'm like a caveman. Network. I'm like a caveman. Looks like we are. I'm thinking I'm just not handling the response right. Yeah, see, here we go. I'm just not, my XHR is just not doing it right. No, we're good. We got our response. Don't worry. I know what I'm doing. Client ID, login, user ID. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm not showing the browser. We got it. We're good. I'm just not handling it right in JavaScript, but we got our validate response. Client ID, login, user ID. I'm sure of it, because if we talk about it here, it says that the authorization is OAuth and then token, not bearer. That's in the docs. Sorry, I glossed over this before. But it's part of the docs. That's just how they want it. I know it's usually bearer, but that's what they got here. And as we can see, we got a response. So I think I'm just not handling it properly in here. Which is fine. There's another way to write this. And I'll probably flip this over to fetch like tomorrow, or between when I finish the stream and when I give this to D. Yeah, like, that's what I'm saying. Like, you just gotta go with the docs say and not trust your gut too much. What's this? It's gonna be like... And now I know I can use this, not funked. I can use this because this is bound. The more you work with them, the more you learn to hate them. Yeah, I try and avoid it as much as I can. And then I can do... I know this works within the scope of the function, like so. And then I can do response handler. I'm pretty sure this will work. We're going to find out together. Bound context and all that. There we go. Cool. So I was getting the response, I just wasn't handling it properly. Cool, so I'm logged in. Awesome, it knows that I've got a token, I'm logged in. You were mentioning that I need to re-query against validate every now and then. Super easy to do, I can just wrap this into validate function. I could like make this a set interval or whatever. And we want to listen, other than the listen thing, we don't want to keep re-listening to the pub sub every time we do the heartbeat. But that's fine, that's easy enough to check out. We're almost there, we're good. So now we've validated our token, we have our dynamically generated user ID. If I go back to the browser, we should still be able to see that I'm getting responses from the pub sub, and to validate that still works, I'll do a redeem. We get all of our information about the redeem. Super, super cool. Awesome. So now, in our listen function, we have, on our message, I keep forgetting to switch back to VS Code. We're getting our message.
This isn't interesting.
So rude. I do like that. I mean, I added that for a reason. I was watching a friend play Metal Gear Solid 3, which is what that voice clip is from. And Snake was being lectured about why tree frogs are really big in that area from the medic. And he just drops, "This isn't interesting." And I was like, that's a perfect sound redeem. I think that's very good. It's in line with the, like, audience booing one that I have, and I've had forever. Where is that? This one. UUID starts with F. The redeem? Is that what you're talking about? Yeah. Is that like a... Is there like a meme there? Is this like a programming meme that I'm not privy to? Yeah. UUID starts with an F. Etc, etc. Now I'm like all self-conscious. Oh, I should probably get the name of the reward as well. Yeah, most of my redeems are bullying, because I think that's kind of what people want. But I used to have one that was just play a Pokemon noise, and I'd have to identify which Pokemon it was. That needs some work, because my backend library is not, like, super full of all of them. You can tell me that I did a good job. You can laugh at my good jokes. That one just plays the Pokemon cry of Torkoal, my favorite Pokemon. Oh, I got a really good piece of Torkoal art recently. I forget. No, it's Spawn. This one.
Nailed by eruption.
That's me. Oh, that's not Torkoal. Sorry, that's Trapinch. Where's my Torkoal art? I got that the other day. Torkoal. There we go. I've had this one for a long time, but I love it. Oh, yeah, yeah. Sure. Cool. Yeah. F is 15. That's correct. Anyway, this is not a Pokemon stream as much as I want to turn it into one. So what's left to do? Okay, we've got the ability to listen for redeems. We now want to listen for a specific redeem, and we want to remember that we are listening for that specific redeem. So much like how we're saving our token key, we are going to have a redeem key, redeem ID, like such. And we're going to do let listening for redeem is false initially, and then we can say if I'll do the triple equals to make you guys happy, you sickos who care about truthiness. If listening for redeem is triple equals to true. Ooh, that's Charizard in German? That's cool. He's Lizardon in Japanese. Italian doesn't have unique Pokemon names. They just use the English ones for whatever reason. But yeah, that's fun. He's Lizardon. And then Lizardo is Charmeleon. I don't remember what Charmander is. That's a fun one. Yeah, you can't win it all the time. But yeah, if listening for redeem is equal to true, and definitely is equal to specifically true and not anything truthy, whatever. You guys are getting on my case. I'm trying to placate the crowd here. I'm playing to the audience. What was I trying to say? So yeah, if we're listening for the redeem, then we can take our ID that we captured, and we're gonna save that. We're gonna do local storage dot set item redeem key, and we're gonna make a JSON dot parse. We're gonna save name, which is gonna be the reward. Oh, I should get the name. For now, it's just gonna be to do and ID. ID. Sorry, JSON.stringify. Get off my case, it's late. This is like hour 17 of programming after quitting my, or not quitting, after logging out of my day job of programming. Get off my case. Get off my camel case. Thank you. Well, nobody's making you backseat me. It's fine. Yes, thank you. I would have noticed that wasn't working when it didn't work. We're gonna stringify an object. I'll get the name from here. It's probably just like title if I had to guess. We can find out right now. Let's just do that. No reason in delaying that. We have data, redemption, ID, reward, ID, image. Don't care about that. Is it title? It is title. So let's not call it name. We'll call it title. Title. I swear, like, Germans show up in my chat at the witching hour for them all the time. Denshi, the guy who makes VTube Studio, the thing that I'm using to, like, render face tracking and stuff, shows up at my chat, and he's like, oh yeah, you know, it's like 5 a.m. or whatever, like 2 a.m. Just woke up like a couple hours ago. I worry for all of you German software engineers. It seems like you are truly nocturnal beasts, denizens of the night and all that. Okay, yeah. So if we're listening for redeem, and listening for redeem, we're gonna flip it to false. So that's cool. We will probably want to have another little section here. We're gonna do another div. We're gonna say button. I'll come up with whatever this text needs to be in a little bit. That's fine. So we're gonna have listen for redeem, and then h2, something like this. Redeem title. Actually, let me be consistent here. User name, redeem title. I'm doing like camel case and half these in underscores, snake case and half the other ones. I'm gonna do underscores. Today's an underscore kind of day. User name. So let's make some helper functions here. Listen for redeem is going to be listening for redeem is equal to true. I don't know what else I need to put in there. It's probably just flipping this to true. But then I'm also going to have one that's like found redeem or whatever, and we're going to pop that in there. What do I think I need to do? It's like... I think it's just like set that to true, and then I'll probably have a thing that's like console.log. What are we redeeming? I'm making a Twitch redeem from scratch. Welcome, Bad Gunpla, friend of the show, Bad Gunpla. I'll give you the breakdown. So I had a person ask if I was taking commissions. They wanted a Twitch redeem that is similar to what they've got displayed here, where people can redeem to have little arrows pop up on the screen. I again think this is a Final Fantasy thing. I'm not sure. She wants a bunch of arrows. Every time you redeem, it'll make an arrow appear at a random place on the screen with a little ding noise, which obviously she's able to do here, but the one thing she wanted punched up was the ability to have the redeemer's username on the arrow, so you could see like what percentage of these arrows you were contributing to, and presumably she wants some other kind of additional controls over it as well that I'd be able to provide. So I'm making a little HTML widget that you can add to OBS that will do this for her. That is the plan. So right now we've gotten to the point where we can pop in a Twitch token, we can listen for redeems, and so now I'm getting close to the part where it will actually do something when the redeem that you use is fired. So baby steps. I've connected to Twitch successfully. We're able to listen for all redeems right now. I am zeroing in on the part where we say listen to this specific redeem and then save that information to remember it later. Listening for such, and then the other one is going to be like I don't know. It's listening for. It's going to be like I don't know. Is listening for redeem? Yes, it is. It's way at the top. It is a global variable because it is stateful. If there is a different way you want me to do this, I am sorry. You can program it. Got it, thanks. Let's see. Listening for redeem, yeah, it's defined at the top. Unless I made a typo. But it's just a global state thing. Also, this should be not redeem, because redeem is the instance of, it's the verb, reward. Listening for reward ID. And this is going to be listening for reward ID pound. This is going to have the ID passed into it, I think, and then title as well. So we're going to do such. Move that to a helper function. Found reward ID. Title D. Cool. And then we're not listening anymore, and we're gonna do document.getElement by ID. This is reward title, I think. Redeem title. Let's change that to cool. So we've got that. And then up at the top here, we can do oops. If local storage dot has, or not has, get item theme key. I'm getting redeem and reward all mixed up also, so we'll fix that later too. Equals. Now I can use json.parse, and we're gonna do local storage dot get item redeem key, and we can do found reward ID reward info dot ID. Cool. And then we can do here, the button will do on click. What do I call this? Listen for reward ID. And I'll have somewhere in here that's like listening for reward, ... And then that'll be fine. But for now, it's all going to be console printouts. We will make this pretty in a minute. What did I just click? Oh. There we go. Oh, and one other thing to just validate that this is all working as intended. Let's strip out some of the noise in the consoles here. Let's move this to if... What do I want to do? We're going to say if reward ID triple equals... And I need some way to pop out the thing that we're always listening for. So up here I have found reward ID. Do I need to like make a global stateful variable for that? Probably, right? What's the best way to keep tabs on that? I guess I could just do, I mean, if I really want to be inefficient for now, I can do JSON parse local storage dot get item like that. There we go. We can stop printing out that message. And we can stop printing out that message, which is fine. Fire up this guy over here. So we're gonna listen for a reward now. Listening for a redeem ID. Undefined is not valid. Okay, so I got that. Cool, thank you. I'm glad that you guys are following along. That was a test. Good stuff, good stuff, good stuff. Let's see, so... Let's see, what did it say? On script line 91, reward ID is equal to JSON.parse. Because if it's not, if this doesn't exist already, which it doesn't in this case, well, it should. Oh! Oops. I see what the problem is. I think. It's also possible that this would be null, but let's pretend that like that's not a case that's gonna happen. Like if you didn't click listening for a reward and it was doing this, you'll get a null. Yeah, exactly. If local storage doesn't exist, it's gonna fail. But the actual problem, I believe, right there was that I was doing .id and trying to JSON parse that, which comes back as nothing, I think, because found reward ID get item returns a string. Exactly. Exactly. Not an object. Yes, I know that. That's why I'm doing JSON.parse. I know that. But yeah. So this is going to set an item, which we stringify. So like, obviously there's a case here where local storage.getItem.id is going to be nothing. That's fine. Pretend like that is not a use case that exists right now for the sake of testing, because we're going to listen for something and then track it. That's fine. Let's try this again. Yes, that is the correct thing to do, and I will do that momentarily. Never mind. Cannot access listening for reward ID before initialization. Right. Right. I need to think for a second, because I found my... Wait, cannot access that before initialization. Where am I doing that before initialization? Here? Yeah, you're right. Thank you. Again, it's been a long day. It's been a very long day. I'm doing programming after my job of programming. So there's that. Yes, that's good. This hasn't been defined yet. I forget if that matters in JavaScript for functions. I think it does, right? Found reward ID hasn't been... But these can be moved to the top also. They don't need to be defined at the end. So like I can do, I'm not showing VS Code. We are here to help, that's good. Listening for reward ID, that's fine. Found reward ID, that's good. We check this, we can say we found the reward ID if we have it from storage, which does a redundant write, but that's okay. And then updates whatever we need to update. So it's refactoring a bunch of C# REST APIs. I don't have the mental ability to, that's fine. I'm a big C# proponent also, I like it. Cool, okay. Strike my skull. It remembers that I've got a redeem, but I can also listen for this one, and I can say like,
This isn't interesting.
there we go, we've changed it. Now if I refresh, it remembers that's the one I care about. So like, let's redeem that again.
This isn't interesting.
And it's printing out that I used that redeem, but if I use this other redeem, it doesn't care. Cool, that's awesome. Let's leave myself a to-do to fix this up later. I'm getting a little ornery, and I don't really want to do like that, but I will make myself a to-do. This can easily null. I realize it's undefined and not actually null, but bear with me, I'll know what this means. That's fine. I'll remember to fix that up later. And then listening for reward ID. Cool. So back to our little app here. Logs me in. Cool. Listen for reward. Says listening for an ID. I will do that. It remembers it. Cool. Refresh. It remembers that. Cool. Awesome, awesome, awesome. We love that. Which means it's finally time to do the thing where we have the redeem happen and like trigger. Let's do redeem. We can say redeemer name. I think that's the only thing we care about here. There we go. Okay. So we have our reward redeemer name. Awesome. We are so close to making the thing happen. We're going to go back to our JavaScript here. We're going to add a whole nother div. Div. This is going to be ID equals or space. Sure, why not? And now we're going to finally add style.css. It's time for some styling. And it's going to be the most rote styling you've ever seen in your life. So for CSS, you connect that, not through a script tag, but it's going to be up in here in the head. We're going to do a link tag. Rel equals, what is it? It's a style sheet. Div, hashtag reward space, and let autocomplete do the rest. And then href equals style. Cool. And now we're going to do reward space, background color red. I think that's probably like all we need. And I most likely need to specify that this should be width 100%, height 100%, something like that. Maybe I'll use VH and VW later. We'll see. VS Code. So I should have a big old red section underneath my. No, where is it? Why is this not? No with yeah. We could instead do with 100 VW and VH. There we go. That's what I wanted. Needs height, yeah. There we go. Something like that is probably sufficient. There are a lot of ways to do this. Again, I can think about how I want to do this later. Point is, we need like a canvas space where we're going to make stuff pop up. So for now, we can have it like that. I'm gonna reset my zoom. And yes, right now there's this little control panel, but I've got a plan for making that go away later. Basically, I'm going to have a mouse listener, and if you don't move your mouse for a couple seconds, which you won't if it's a browser source in OBS, because it will not be listening for stuff unless you have the interact menu open, this will just like disappear. And then this will take up, the red will take up the entirety of the browser space, is the plan. And red's going to go away too. I just need a way to visually convey what we're doing here. So, the redeem is going to have a little arrow that we're going to have pop up. And that's like the long and short of it. So let's make a template in our HTML here using God's own template tag. And we're going to do... let's see, ID is theme template, or reward template, I guess. God's own template tag. We're gonna have div class equals reward item. Inside there, we're gonna have an image, which is to be determined. Oh, sorry. Image. There we go. And it's going to be class. Reward image. And then finally a span. Reward user. And then it'll be Saturn name. Adding a hotkey listener and toggling visibility. Yeah, I mean that's again like 1001, 6 of the other. Hotkey listener and toggling visibility. I can make it a hotkey. I just wanted to make it like if the mouse moves, you'd return the controls, etc. I didn't need to want to tell somebody to press a specific key to toggle on or off. Just shake the mouse and it'd be good. So that should be pretty easy. There's a mouse move event you can listen for, and you can just have that tick down a timeout. Okay, so we've got
This isn't interesting.
You love that one, huh? I'm glad I added it though. That's fun. So we've got our template in our redeem. We're gonna pop one of these off and make one. So that's gonna be like what? What does my redeem function look like? It's fun, right? Like it is genuinely good to tell the streamer if they're going off base. Template. Equals documents dot get element by ID. Template. Const area equals document dot get elements by ID. This is going to be or I called that space or canvas. Reward space, right? Yeah, reward space. Cool. So that's where we're going to pop one of these bad boys. Const arrow. It's going to be template.content.clone node true. We're making a deep copy here. And then query div. Make one of these bad boys. Query selector could be dot reward user. So that's going to be inner HTML is going to be redeemer name. Why is this not? Thank you, autocomplete. Love you. arrow.style.top. It's going to be, so we want this to appear on a random place on the canvas, as was before. So we're going to do a little bit of style tag manipulation here, which you normally wouldn't want to do, but here I think it is actually genuinely correct to just directly manipulate the style, because these need to be individualized. So you can't really even, you can make each one of them have a unique ID, and then you'd need to like update the CSS or whatever. But here we're just going to do math.random, which is going to generate a number from 0 to 1. We're going to multiply that by 100, and that's going to be a %. And similarly, we're going to do arrow.left as such. We're going to do area.append child arrow, and then we're going to make a timeout, const timeout, window. Well, actually, we don't need to worry about the timeout yet. We're gonna fill up our area with a bunch of these, and then eventually I'll make these go away with a timeout. But now, for now, we should be able to go to here, like such. I will close my console. I'm going to start redeeming like crazy. And somewhere in here, I should start seeing my little guys. My guess is I probably need to define... Where are they? I probably need to define like a height or something, but that also seemed to not work. I must have missed something. Template, content, edit... Oop! I made a typo. Content's not content editable. Do you append your elements to the DOM? Yes. I do. I do append my elements to the DOM, sir. But I made a typo. There we go. That's me in the top corner, which it shouldn't be, because I need to update a thing for my style, which is what did I call these? I need to make these position absolute, and I think I need to make the area have a position relative tag. These are reward items. And then... I already have reward space. What do I do? Like such. I think that'll fix it. There we go. Yeah. So you can see there's my name. Other way. Working just fine. There we go. Normally it's absolute on parent. I guess maybe that also works. I typically think of absolute of if you want the item in question to always be in an absolute position, even rendering over other items, which in this case the arrows would render over each other. But I don't know actually anything about the specifics. As you can tell, I'm not a professional web developer. These are skills that I've entirely learned through intuition and trial and error. And they typically can get the goods after a minimal amount of time here, like what I've demonstrated today. So I guess it could go either way. I would think reward space absolute would make the red space render over the little control panel. Like I could actually just do that right now. I could do position absolute. Does that not do that? I guess because we're still rendering as a block, it doesn't. Render on the XY of the highest relative parent. Yeah, which is what I'm doing, right? Yeah, so the parent here is position relative, and then my little guys are absolute, which is what I want. Exactly, thank you, that's what I was trying to do. Yeah, they won't escape the big red box, that's exactly what I'm trying to do. I knew there was a reason that I did it this way. The body / document also has absolute. I don't know if that's true. It might be implicit, but regardless, they won't escape orbit here, which is what I want. So we can redeem these, and it'll start popping up. Now imagine these have a fun little arrow image that I don't have yet, but I can easily get from my client at some point. Cool. So these are showing up. They're doing what they do. Let's add a timeout to make them go away, because we don't want them to stay for too long. but that's easy. That's what JavaScript is all about. So we were going to make a timeout, window.set timeout. So a timeout is just a thing that happens after a short delay. You can make these pretty much whatever. So we're going to say our timeout function is going to be just arrow.remove. My autocomplete is not doing a good job today. Remove. That's fine. And we're going to say that's after like 10 seconds. And time. 1,000 seconds. Timeout's scary. I like timeout. I don't really need to capture the result of this. It's a habit I get into. Timeout returns a numeric ID. If you ever wanted to cancel the timeout and stop it from happening, you'd have to do grab that ID and tell the window to stop it. So I just reflexively always capture these even if I don't end up using them. I think it's good practice. The memory overhead is like not a big deal. So now we're gonna see these are gonna go away after like a brief stay. So we hide VS Code again. I'm gonna start chucking shit at my skull. There's my name, and it's gonna go away in a little bit, in a couple seconds. Just a nitpick, but you may want to pad the top left things or they'll end up rendering off the screen. Yeah. Again, that's like polished stuff. That's fine. And there we go. The thing went away. Obviously, this is not going to be read. Hey, there's you up in the corner. You'll go away in a couple seconds as well. But yeah, there's like obviously a lot of visual polish that will go into this as well. I don't have the arrows or like the sound that she wants to play yet, but I can get the names rendering on a little HTML snippet, which is good enough for me. Hey D, how's it going? We're like halfway there. This big red box is going to be your OBS screen in a little bit, and then like when you do redeem, you can click on that, and then like you can see my name is over here. That's going to be on an arrow. Never show UI in beta. It's fine. It's for the client. I'll even be able to demonstrate this in OBS in a second. I'll show you. The other thing I need to do is make the controls go away, which I'm going to do via a timeout listener on the what am I saying? Timeout listener for the box that these are in. So let's put these in a ID equals. How's it going, D? By the way, I've been wondering all day what the arrows are. Are they a Final Fantasy raid? Like aggro marker. Simple ting sound bit. Yes, please. I would love that. Unless you want to control the sound through a secondary application, I can embed it into this thing as well if you prefer. But yeah, what are the arrows? What is the reference there? I'm assuming it's a Final Fantasy raid something, but I don't actually know because I am a Philistine. What am I trying to do? I'm looking for a event listener. Div ID is token controls, and then we're gonna do, or let's see. She's not telling. We'll never find out why they're arrows, what the arrow reference is. Add event listener. Let's move. It's true it doesn't need to be undefined. Weird habit I have from C# for some reason. It's actually a simple thing I added. I noticed a person had this randomizer image pop on screen. I was like, maybe if people could try and... Oh, they're pointing at you. Okay. I was like, oh, you're a Final Fantasy streamer. This has to be like some kind of like raid aggro. Because every time I talk to my friends who play Final Fantasy, they always show me these diagrams of like the safe spots to stand if you're doing like a high level raid. So I assumed it had something to do with that. And I was constructing this whole fantasy and fiction in my head about what these arrows could mean. But they're simply pointing at you. That's excellent. That's perfect. Cool. What was I doing? Document. Get element by ID. Token. Controls. Class list dot remove. Hidden. And then we're going to say if sleep timeout. Clear timeout, or clear timeout. Set timeout. Boom. Speaking of, while you're here though, I appreciate you taking a chance on me and putting up with my long delay on getting this to you. It's long overdue. I wish I had gotten this to you sooner, but I am unfortunately just one person, and this is not my full-time job. Or you would have gotten this a lot quicker. I'm sorry for the delay. I will do better next time. So let's make a style for hidden. Such. I think that does what I want it to do. So now if I go to here, our big red box, VS Code, or on browser, refresh. Oops, I didn't give a time for my timeout. The image I should send to the sound. Yeah. Send all the files you got to the email that I gave you. I will take care of those. That is my professional email. I will get this to you. It's going to be 3 files. It's going to be a HTML source that you can add to OBS, and then a script and a CSS. So you'll just be able to put that folder somewhere and point to it from OBS, and you'll be all set. Yeah. Take your time. As long as you're not waiting on me, that's fine. I'm happy to work with you and polish this up and make it really pretty going forward. No problem whatsoever. Okay, so we are going to our browser here. So if you move the mouse, it makes the pop-up appear where we can get our token. So I was explaining before, you'll be able to get a token to authorize your this to listen to your Twitch chat. It'll say like "Welcome D" after you pop in your token. You'll click on "Listen for reward." You'll do the reward that you want to link to this. There you go, like such. It'll remember that going forward. There's your little guy. If you stop moving the mouse for 5 seconds, it's going to make the control panel go away. And in practice, this is how it'll work in OBS. So like, there you go. That's all well and good. And then if you move the mouse again, this will pop up. But because OBS browser sources are not actively listening for things like mouse input, that will just basically always hide, and you should be all set in OBS. So you'll add this as a browser source, and it'll be good. Yeah, like, there's styling, don't worry. There's plenty of things that I will do to fix this. Right now it's overflowing because I did, like you said, there's padding. I will fix this. I'm not going to deliver this to my client in the state that it currently is. Don't get it twisted. This is a proof of concept. So the last thing I wanted to do, because I know how to do it, is add a nice little animation to these arrows. Because you can do that with CSS, you can make them fade in and out, and I'm pretty sure I know how to do that. So let's think. We want to add an animation. So we're going to go back to VS Code. And we're going to fire up our CSS. We're going to add some keyframes. Let's see. Add keyframes. Fade in, out. We're going to do from 0% and 100%. It's going to be opacity 0, so beginning and end, it is invisible. And then we're going to say like 10% and 90%. Opacity is going to be 1. That's a basic CSS animation. Then on our item, we're going to say like opacity starts at 0. If I can remember how to type, opacity is 0. Animation delay is going to be 1. Animation is going to be fade in out, like we just had. It's going to last 8 seconds. We can configure this to however long we want later. Linear forwards, like such. These are going to be display block. That's fine. And I think that's like all I need to worry about right now. So if we go back to our browser, and I redeem that, my guy should be over here. He's gonna fade out instead of just disappear. Nope, it didn't. Oh, because I didn't. What did I do wrong? Wait, no, that doesn't make any sense. My guy should have. Faded in and out. I should also make the text bigger, but we'll get there. Okay, so he fades in. My guy over here. And he fades out. Okay, cool. I just probably forgot to refresh. I'm getting brainless. So let's make the reward item font size like really big, like 12 EM. Just so this is super, super visible. And I'm gonna give this a proof of concept in OBS. So we're gonna fire this up. We're gonna redeem something. There's my name, it's quite large. That's fine. And then it should fade, perfect. So imagine there's an arrow behind that. Nice little access token you got there. Yeah, I mean, again, it's not secret, like it doesn't need to be secret. But now I can add a browser source, and we're gonna do this in OBS. So we're gonna make a local file, 1920 by 1080, cover the whole thing. We can choose our local file. This is in my Git zone. It's like version control everything. Git repos, these redeem, index. There we go. And I'm gonna remove my custom CSS. Get rid of all that. So I can go to interact here in order to pop in a token. I will generate my token by clicking. You can't even see me right now. Hold on. Let me move this behind me. There we go. I'm still here. Can't see you guys though. Actually, I can probably move this behind everybody. There we go. You guys are still here. It's okay. So I've got my access token. I will take that. I will go into the interact menu here. Paste. Cool. We're going to listen for a redeem now. Head chuck and redeem. And we should be fine. Ah, okay. So it is overflowing. Still. As was warned earlier, this will be a problem. But we can close the interact menu now. And this should just take up the whole screen. There's my name across the bottom. Chatter earlier was like, you're going to want to add some padding to those because otherwise they will clip, which is what's happening here. But functionally, this is more or less what was asked for. Obviously, it needs to be made prettier, but there you go. That's the long and short is basically how that's going to work. Yeah. Thank you, sent the image and sound. Cool. So yeah, if anybody else wants to try and redeem that right now, you are free and clear to. Your name will pop up on stream right now. Image will be changed later. That's fine. Obviously, this is like super, super rough around the edges currently, but the point is, there you go. That's you. Point is, we were able to, in a single sitting, connect to Twitch, get a token, connect to the thing that listens for redeems, have a way to save that token, save what redeem you want to connect to, and we're in pretty good shape here, I would say. The next step would obviously be you remove the ugly red background, and you make the text pretty, and we add some images. So yeah, the does not redeem that, but the head chucking one does. There you go. So it does listen for a specific one that you tell it to listen to.
This isn't interesting.
I think it's very interesting. There you go, D. There you go. So we're all set. And all you have to do, and I'll give you the walk down on this, or not walk down, the walk through, the lowdown on this when I deliver this to you in a couple days. But this is simply controlled through a browser source in OBS. You don't need, like, any external application or anything like that. So you'll be all set here. You don't need to fire up an app or anything. If you want to have this going off in conjunction with another app, you're certainly able to. I think you can have that redeem be listened to by multiple things. Like, you could have, like, Mix It Up or StreamerBot, you know, do something when that redeem happens, and this will also do something when that redeem happens. But that's the long and short of it. So I think we're in pretty good shape. I'm going to call it because I've been programming since 8 a.m. this morning, and it's now 10 p.m., which is too many hours to be programming. Are links allowed? Yes, actually, they are. You will not get banned. And if you do get banned, I'll unban you. What are you gonna send me? Oh, now this is dicey. Hold on. I'm gonna mute my browser audio in case you have something profane here. Oh, that's a good one, actually. Hold on. This is not profane. You can get all my Pokemon recommends.
Boring.
Nice. That's how it feels to be a streamer. If there's ever any downtime, they just yell at you. Everybody yells at you. It's only Simpsons. Yeah, I didn't think you had any malicious intent, but you gotta be careful, you know? You are a first-time chatter as of this stream, after all. I don't know if I can really trust you. Okay. I'll think about that. I'm actually not a huge Simpsons guy. I liked Futurama, but I never got really into The Simpsons. Okay, so let me make some to-dos for what I need to do before I hand this off. Obviously, there's a lot. So first thing is, this appears to be overflowing. So let me make a to-do here. Okay, how do you do comments in CSS? This is overflowing, that's fine. Hey, Denchi! You're just in time. Yeah, Bender definitely says something like, you know, you're boring the crap out of me, whatever. Hawkbar, whoa! Hello. Hawkbar is another excellent programming streamer, VTuber specifically. If you guys are enjoying what you're seeing here, but want to see somebody who actually has standards and best practices, you should watch Hawkbar. Shout out. Hawkbar, what were you up to? So Hawkbar here maintains the JavaScript implementation of the VTube Studio API library. So I have a C# library that I originally built for Unity that lets you build VTube Studio plugins as Unity applications, because people like that. So, for example, Dev up here, Ninya, is on the hype rate team. I have a heart rate monitor application that plugs into VTube Studio that's a little Unity app. And so I built the library that, like, facilitates all of that within Unity. In fact, the heart rate monitor application was me just eating my own dog food to make sure that my library was usable and I could actually prototype an application with it quickly enough and that it, like, made sense. And to that effect, yes, but then I also made something useful out of it. He sent me to you. Oh, that's how you found out about him. I was so curious why suddenly in March, 4 people out of the blue were like, hey, so can I commission you to do something? I've never advertised doing commissions before, ever in my life. I don't know where they got this idea from. And suddenly, in that month, I had 4 separate individuals, all of them independently of each other, asking me if I could program something for them. And of course I said yes, because I love helping. Yeah, it makes sense. Okay. So yeah, Denchi's here. Denchi's the guy who makes VTube Studio. Hawkbar makes a really good JavaScript library if you wanted to make browser-based applications for VTube Studio. I'm the one who makes the C# implementation of that same kind of thing if you want to make desktop applications for VTube Studio. We're all one big happy family. But I am pretty much nearing the end here. The original goal was my client here, Dee, who is in chat, as you know her, wanted a thing that will let her Twitch chat point to her with all of these arrows. She wanted the punch up of having the chatter's name on the arrow. And so to that end, I have made a funny little widget here that will let you redeem a thing, and it should just pop your name up on here somewhere. Currently, I've got some big overflow issues, as you can see, but it does just print your name on an HTML widget. We'll get this sorted out. It'll make sense. It's so red. Yeah, the red was to just display where the area is. Eventually, it'll be transparent. But, and I also have to, like, work on it not overflowing horribly, but baby steps, whatever works. I will patch that up later. Today, so to reiterate what we covered in today's curriculum before that flashbanged you. CS is always a delight. I think it's fun. To go over what we went over in today's curriculum, we were able to talk about how to get a token, what different scopes allow us to do. I've got to add another to-do that I might not be able to listen to redeems made by other applications, so we'll figure that out. So we've got a way to get tokens. We talked about local storage and how to save those tokens for later. We talked about validating those tokens in order to get our username and user ID. We talked about listening to the pub sub WebSocket so that we can listen to all events coming out of the streamer's chat. We talked about how to get a specific reward ID so that we can talk about, or rather we can correlate always getting the same redeem every time instead of responding to every reward or redeem. And then we talked a little bit about HTML manipulation and how to make these things pop up wherever they need to pop up. And we did that all in about 2 hours and 15 minutes. So I think that's a pretty successful day one for this kind of thing. I'm overall pretty happy with that. But now I'm going to get really tired and go to sleep. Also, Denshi, I was talking about you earlier because the other fella in here, Dev Ninja, is also from Germany. They work on Hyperate, which is one of the heart rate monitor like iPhone apps that I integrate with. And I was talking about how all these German software engineers show up in my chat at 3 a.m. local time. And they're like, hey, good morning, I just woke up. And I don't know what you guys are doing out there, but you are truly denizens of the night. All of you night owls, I feel very bad for you. I hope you can see... Yeah, this is what I'm saying, like, both of you. These filthy Germans. I don't know what they're up to. They're just showing up like bats or rats in the night. It's like that, I saw that, yeah. So yeah, we got this more or less working. I've got the little control panel that pops up if you wiggle the mouse, so you can do whatever you need to do. Then when it's a browser source in OBS, that'll just go away, etc., etc. Next time I do a programming stream, it's probably going to be me working on this. Sorry to flashbang you all with a bright mode thing, but this is the other big web app that I currently maintain. This is Torkoal, the tournament overlay software I have for Pokemon. It basically will allow, or not will, it currently does allow people to easily display things like what their Pokemon on their team are, if they've got like items and stuff. You can say if the items are used, if the Pokemon is like terastallized or fainted. So this is a piece of software I maintain to make Pokemon streaming really easy. If you ever watch me stream my locals on Thursday nights, I am using this. I built it for myself, and I'm giving it to other people. The next thing I'm adding to this... Well, there are two things I want to add to this. When you say, is it done? Torkoal is never done. There's always more things I can add. The redeem is definitely not done. I've got to add the actual images and sound that D wants, and obviously make it, like, not a red box, and not overflow horribly. So that's not done, but I'm done for today. But the next thing I'm working on for Torkoal here is I've got plans for a additional HTML widget that will be usage statistics. So if you've got, say, 20 players in your tournament, and, 10 of them are all using Abomasnow here, it'll make a nice little graph that says 50% usage for Abomasnow. So you can display that between rounds to give your viewers something to think about, which is cool. And the other thing I want to try, and I don't know if it will be very successful, is a way to expedite entering team information. Right now, you kind of have to do it by hand, or you can import it via text, via what's called the PokePaste format, which is a text, shorthand for this information. I want to try and use a optical character recognition library like Tesseract, so that you could actually scan a handwritten team sheet and have it try and approximate what the Pokemon on that team sheet are. So you could just take a photo with a webcam and have it fill in this table for you automatically. I don't think that's going to be very successful, but it would be fun to try. And it would definitely expedite the entry of team sheets in mass, because you're just handed a stack of paper and then told to transcribe it. Right now, you can do this pretty quickly. Like, I can make, Denshi. Denshi is a big fan of Pika. So I can do, Pika. It's Electric Terra. It's gonna have a light ball. And they also like Pichu, which is also electric. So you can type these in pretty quick, because it has autocomplete. I'm not going to use ChatGPT for that. ChatGPT is for generating text. I'm talking about recognizing text here. It needs to do computer vision, which is a completely different subset of machine learning, which critically is not generative and does not crib off of anybody's existing work and doesn't use a ton of power because it's not being done remotely. It is literally just approximating known patterns, and it can be run in browser. So it is not AI in the sense of like highly destructive, copyright infringing generative AI. Computer vision is a thing that we've had for a long time. But we'll see if I can get that done. I want to set the record straight. I am a opponent of generative AI. I think it is wasting a lot of power for results that don't really mean a lot. I don't know why you'd want to consume something that wasn't made by like a human creative personally, but that's, you know, neither here nor there. I am simply looking at machine vision so I can take a handwritten document and try and convert it into text from a known library of valid words. I don't think it's going to be very successful. I think it's going to have a hard time reading handwriting, but it'll be fun. The usage chart thing I think is more useful, so I'm going to try and get that rolled out. I don't know if I'll have time to stream it. I want to get that out. I was originally planning on having that out by the next season, the 2025 Pokemon season, which I thought was going to start in September, given that Worlds is in August. However, as of 2 weeks ago, we learned that the start of the 2025 season, even for the video game for Pokemon, starts in July. So I don't have an off-season to work on this. And I also learned that there's a charity tournament that's benefiting the St. Jude's Cancer Foundation that wants to use this overlay. So I'm going to see if I can get that ready for them so they have something to display between rounds for their stream, which is very exciting. I'm rambling at this point. I'm tired. That's going to do it for me. I'm going to go find somebody to raid now. It's probably going to be... I'm going to guess Hen of Mimi is live right now. And since Hawkbar isn't streaming anymore, I can't direct all of you fun programmers to Hawkbar. Hawkbar, what were you doing, by the way? I didn't ask. You're a cowboy programmer, I know that, but were you programming on stream or were you playing a game? This is important. I need to know. Shadow the Hedgehog! I missed that. Do you have a VOD? That's one of my least favorite games. I don't know if you know... Ooh, doing a marathon of all 3 song titles. That's so fun. I don't know if you know this, Hawkbar. I have a signed, autographed copy of Shadow the Hedgehog for the PS2. It's signed by Johnny Jelly of the Crush 40 band. I saw him in Symphony concert last October, and I got him to sign my copy of Shadow the Hedgehog. Very bad game, carried by his excellent soundtrack. I love that game. Signed by Shadow himself, yeah. I love Crush 40, yes. I'm gonna send you guys to... Well, I don't want to spoiler people if I send you to Hen of Mimi, because she's playing the Elden Ring DLC. I don't know how much people care about that. Who do I send you to? This is tricky. Do people care about Elden Ring spoilers? I don't know. I'm going to send you to Hen of Mimi. She's very nice. She's very funny. You could just not watch. Yeah, so I guess that is a word of warning to anybody who does not want to be spoiled on the new Elden Ring DLC. The streamer we are going to, Hen of Mimi, is playing the Elden Ring DLC right now. You've seen the game, yeah. She's really into it. She loves this game. It's one of her favorite games. She's a very powerful gamer. Do not backseat her or she will kill you. She is a lot less tolerant of backseating than I am. So there is that. Anyway, that's going to be it for me. My next stream will probably be not until next week. I don't have any VGC locals on Thursday, but if you are interested in more programming streams, if you want to come by and backseat me again and correct me about best practices for double equals and triple equals and such, I wholeheartedly welcome that. Please drop me the follow if you would like more of that. I'm going to try and get back more on programming, specifically more WebDev and C# related stuff, Unity development and the like. I'm going to try and focus less on video game streaming going forward, but we'll see. It's a nice balance. I stream Pokemon locals sometimes. I want to do some more baking streams, hand cams, and the like. And maybe we'll even get a model building streamer too in there. But if not, if you don't want to follow, that's all well and good as well. It was very kind of everybody to stop by today. I appreciate the corrective nudging that I required very much and getting me on the right path relatively quickly. It was nice meeting you all. Etc., etc. Goodbye, good night, bonus Sarah, and good night.